Hey guys, it's Pat. Just thought I'd do a quick demo of the responsive image changes to allow for different image sizes to be loaded depending on um, page size or how big the images are in each layout, as well as giving Retina support, I guess, to images. So I did a quick, just a quick page here with a big kind of main image, and then three identical, I guess, header icons. I'll just show the code real quick. So here I've got my image, so I'm loading up the full size of it, which is obviously unnecessary, but um, and then here I've got the image that I'm loading, and I'm forcing it to 100 um, pixels wide. So I've got that here. If you look at this image, if we load it, you'll see that we're loading the um, full image here, which is 1.5 megs. Um, this one here, we're loading a smaller version for 100 pixel width. But what we see is that it's not loaded. You can see it, I don't know if you can see a bit of blur, but I can see a little bit of a blur here. And it's not loaded because I have a Retina display. It's not loaded at the Retina resolution. So to do that, what I've set is just a parameter here. If you set Retina equals yes, you'll see that it gets loaded as a Retina, and you can see there's a resolution difference here. This one's a lot crisper. The one thing you do have to have is you have to have a higher resolution version of this image. So what I'm essentially doing, this one here is being loaded 100 by 94, and this one here it's the 200. So if I go into here, yeah, you see that we're loading the 200 by 188 version. If you look at the URL there, we're loading a 200 by 188 version of that image, and it's fitting it into the 100 by 94 slot. So if, in this case, if the user is not using a Retina display, it knows to automatically grab the 100 by 94 version, so you get the higher resolution for Retina displays, but you're not forced to download a larger image for non-Retina displays, so it's responsive in that sense. I also have this big image here that we're loading, that 1.5 meg image. And what we're going to want to do is be able to load it depending on the size of the image when the browser is open. So say, for example, you're looking at it on a tablet that's flipped vertically, for example, you'll have a much larger image than on a medium tablet or on a large screen because of the way the layout is set up. So we set up functionality for this, but it is a little bit more complex. So I'll just go through the process that I go through to set those. Because we're using Bootstrap, there are essentially 4 layout types. There's the large, medium, small, and then extra small. So what I generally do is I'll get the size of the image at each of those kind of breaks. So you see here 49.98, so that's at large, 0.98. At medium, I've got 41.09. At small, I've got 720. And once I hit extra small, it's just 100% of the viewport width. So once you have that information, you're able to we have a better sense of what size of images we want the browser to display. So if we go back into our wiki plugin here, there are 2 different pieces of information that we want to pass to the server to be able to pull up that information. So there's widths and sizes, which I'll explain essentially. So sizes are the sizes of the images that we want to display at each of those four breakpoints. So I'll just put that in. So 100 viewport widths, 720 pixels. I say 402. I always go one higher, and then 490. Oh, sorry. Yeah, 490. So those are the different sizes of images, or the different sizes for the images at the different layouts. So widths is somewhat similar. So these are the different sizes of images that we want the browser to be able to request. One thing to note as well is for images, if you have a Retina display, you can request images twice the size to be able to put in that area. So in this case, let's actually, one other thing I forgot to look at was the max width of the image. So if I go here, yeah, because it's always good to know the absolute biggest the image will be. So if I look at, say, 767 is before we get into the small. So it's 766. But the image is 736. So let's say 740 pixels is the max it'll ever be. So then now you need to be able to you want to tell the browser which sizes it should be able to request. So let's go with the largest it could ever be. So let's say 740 is the largest it'll be, but then we can add Retina as well, right? So you can also have 1480. Another size could be, so if we go with, say, 490 is the size that we might want it to request. So we've got, say, 980. And then we could probably put one at 402. Though the difference between 490 and 402 is not huge, but we can still put that there. And then there's a 720. So essentially, what we're doing is we're telling the browser, you can request at any of these sizes, and then it'll scale down to fit with the spot. But then, so it makes it so that you're not using unnecessary bandwidth and not loading up, say, a 1480 pixel image for when the screen is 402 pixels, has the image at 402 pixels. So if we save that, we'll see here, okay, so now we've got this image. So this is probably as big as this image gets. So you'll see here that it's currently loading the 1480. So that's as big as the image gets, so it's loading the largest size that we have. So that's perfect. And if we expand it, it's still using the 1480 because it's not going to reload a new size of the image when it's already loaded the largest one. But if I do a refresh, for example, and I look at the size, you'll see it's using the 980 pixel version of the image. So you have if you look at the image size, it's 490, and it's loading the 980 version because I have a Retina display. If I was using a regular display, it would just be loading the 490 pixel version of the image. So this one here, the 490. So essentially, that's kind of how it works. I just kind of winged it, but yeah, it at least I guess gives a bit of a demo of how it works. And you'll see here instead of loading 1.5 megs, it'll load uh, this one here, which is 133 kilobytes instead. And even if you compare to what it's loading for this size, um, so it's a 300 kilobyte version. So depending on what size of screen you have, the browser knows which image size it should be retrieving for you based on the information you put in those sizes. All right, thank you.